The skies over Vietnam, 1965. This is Ground Zero. Operation Rolling Thunder was a sustained aerial bombing campaign conducted by the United States against North Vietnam during the Vietnam War. It began on the 2nd of March 1965 and officially ended on the 2nd of November 1968. The campaign was intended to pressure the North Vietnamese government into ending its support for the communist insurgency into South Vietnam, destroy military infrastructure, and reduce the flow of troops and supplies moving south along infiltration routes. Instead of a short, decisive operation, Rolling Thunder became one of the longest and most controversial air campaigns in American military history. The operation was carried out primarily by the United States Air Force and the United States Navy, with support from the U.S. Marine Corps. Major Air Force units, including the 2nd Air Division, which was redesignated the 7th Air Force in 1966, operating mainly from bases in South Vietnam and Thailand. Important flying units included the 355th Tactical Fighter Wing, the 388th Tactical Fighter Wing, and the 8th Tactical Fighter Wing, also the 432nd Tactical Reconnaissance Wing. The United States Navy launched aircraft from attack carriers of Task Force 77 in the Gulf of Tonkin, while United States Marine aircraft flew from bases in South Vietnam. A wide variety of aircraft took part in the campaign. The United States Air Force relied heavily on the F-105 Thunderchief, which flew most strike missions during the early years, and the F-4 Phantom II, which served as both a fighter escort and strike aircraft. Other important aircraft included the F-100 Super Sabre, B-57 Canberra, the RF-101 Voodoo, and RF-4C Phantom reconnaissance aircraft. The B-52 bomber played a major part in the sustained bombing campaign. Other aircraft included the KC-135 Stratotanker aerial refueling aircraft and EB-66 destroyer electronic warfare aircraft. The Navy primarily used A-4 Skyhawk, A-6 Intruder, A-7 Corsair II and F-8 Crusader alongside carrier-based F-4 Phantoms. By the end of the campaign, American aircraft had flown approximately 304,000 Air Force strike sorties and more than 150,000 Navy strike sorties. This in addition to thousands of reconnaissance, tanker, transport and support missions. During these operations, the United States dropped roughly 643,000 short tons, about 583,000 metric tons of bombs and other air-delivered munitions on North Vietnam. This exceeded the total tonnage dropped by the Allies in the entire Pacific theatre during the Second World War. North Vietnam developed one of the world's most heavily defended air-based systems with substantial assistance from the Soviet Union and China. The defense network included thousands of anti-aircraft guns, radar-guided SA-2 guideline surface-to-air missiles, and MiG-17, MiG-19 and MiG-21 fighter aircraft. These defenses inflicted heavy losses on American aircrews and forced the United States to develop new tactics, electronic countermeasures and specialized missions to suppress enemy air defenses. American losses were significant. During Rolling Thunder, the United States lost approximately 922 aircraft over North Vietnam from all causes, including combat and operational accidents. Hundreds of American airmen were killed, captured, or listed as missing in action. Many captured pilots spent years as prisoners of war before their release after the 1973 Paris Peace Accord. The bombing also caused extensive damage within North Vietnam. Thousands of bridges, roads, railways, power facilities, fuel depots, military bases and industrial sites were attacked. Despite this destruction, North Vietnam was able to repair infrastructure, disperse industry and continue receiving military aid from the Soviet Union and China. The movement of troops and supplies into South Vietnam continued throughout the campaign. Civilian casualties remain difficult to determine because estimates vary considerably. Most modern historical studies estimate that between 30,000 and 60,000 North Vietnamese civilians were killed during Operation Rolling Thunder, with many more wounded or displaced. Military casualties have never been established with certainty. Operation Rolling Thunder was an ambitious attempt to force North Vietnam to change its policies through sustained strategic bombing. Between 1965 and 1968, the United States Air Force, Navy and Marine Corps flew hundreds of thousands of combat sorties using aircraft such as the 105 Thunder Chief and F-4 Phantom II, dropping approximately 643,000 short tons of bombs. Although the campaign inflicted severe damage and imposed heavy costs on North Vietnam, it failed to halt the flow of men and supplies into South Vietnam or compel Hanoi to negotiate on American terms. The operation ended in November 1968 after more than 3.5 years, leaving a legacy of heavy military losses, significant civilian casualties, and continuing debate over the effectiveness of strategic air power.